And take a deep breath in and let go. Yeah, do that again. Breathe in and let it go. One more together. Breathe in and let go. You know, we're always breathing, but it's good to breathe on purpose. It's different. So if you don't know me, I'm Reverend Elisha Christopher. I'm the spiritual director here at the center. My pronouns are they and them. My ancestors come from all over the world, but immigrated to this country from Ireland, Scotland, Austria, and Holland. And this month, we're stepping into a new theme. 2023, our year's theme has been Living Out Loud. And each month we've been exploring different angles of how we live out loud in a bigger way. And this month, our theme is Living Wholeness. And, you know, it tails nicely off of last month's conversation all about the sacred, right? Because our whole conversation last month was that, you know, this philosophy that we teach here in this place called Science of Mind stems first from one principle, this idea that God is all that there is. What do I mean by God? Consciousness, life force, energy, the oneness, the seamlessness that connects all things. God is all that there is. And I'm going to read to you some words from the founder of this movement, Ernest Holmes, who gives us in our Declaration of Principles, he starts with this line: "We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God, and it is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause." And so really he's saying we believe in oneness. That the entirety of the universe, that everything that is unfolding, that all that is being experienced, that everyone and everything that is living and breathing in this great and glorious universe is part of one great wholeness. The universe is one thing. The earth is one thing. We are all part of the one thing. And Ernest Holmes says that the only thing we ever need to heal, anything that could ever come up in your life, anything that could show up in the world, anything that happens in your body or in your mind, anything that we ever need to heal, the only thing that we ever need to heal is our seeming sense of separation. Right? Because it's from this place of a seeming sense of separation that we separate ourselves from the planet and how we interact with the planet, with the resources, with the ecosystem, right? It's from a seeming sense of separation from the others in the world that we think we can oppress, we can wage war, we can separate, we can take, we can whatever it is, right? It's from a seeming sense of separation that all of the issues of the world show up. Right? And Ernest Holmes teaches in the Science of Mind textbook, he teaches us that there are patterns of wholeness. There are patterns, qualities in the universe that are divine, that are perfect, that are whole, that are complete, always. And that it's only our seeming sense of separation from these divine qualities that allows anything else to show up in our life. Right? And it's through our experiences, through our beliefs, through the stories that we tell on top of that wholeness that we have this experience that looks like not wholeness. Right? And so, you know, we have this spiritual principle that says it's all whole. It's one whole. It's all God. It's all perfect and complete. And then there's the experience we all have of living here in the world. Right? Where it feels broken, where things feel separate, where we feel like we're not connected, where it looks like there is horrible things unfolding around us. And we can either focus our attention on the things that seem to be wrong, or we can cultivate an awareness that brings our attention to the deeper patterns of truth that are underneath what we see. And that if and when we're able to bring our mind to that place of not being so wrapped up in the reality that seems to be so real, but we actually allow ourselves to see through what is into a deeper truth, that's the consciousness that can change what is. Right? And so when we do spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer that we teach here in this place, right? If someone comes to us with sickness in the body, with illness or disease, our prayer is for you to remember the pattern of wholeness, to remember the health, to remember that there are patterns in your DNA, in your mind, in the universe that are the absolute template of your health and wellness, and to bring our awareness back to that perfection. And that when we continuously return to that awareness of the perfection, it opens us up to experience it. Can you hear that? Yeah. So, Ernest, I want to read you something that in our Centers for Spiritual Living and our global themes that we share with the whole movement, we have some shared resources that ministers share. And this was written by someone named Reverend Scott Aubrey, who's a retired minister in our movement. And I want to read you something that he wrote. He says, Ernest Holmes said, "The spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of spirit." I'm going to read that again. "The spark which burns at the center of your own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of spirit. Our charge then is to recognize, nurture, and express the divine spark of wholeness. We kindle this flame by living from our own divine center, recognizing it in others, working for it in our community and the world, and looking to the great way-showers to inspire us and guide us. In this, the universe knows us as whole." Right? So we have to look for it in our mind and then engage in the activity of bringing the awareness of that wholeness into the world. He says, "We are naturally, irresistibly drawn to wholeness. There is something within us that yearns to discover that which makes us whole, to realize the peace and joy that we inherently know is ours by divine birthright. God wants us to embrace our wholeness, and the key to living wholly is in the realm of consciousness. A life of wholeness flows through our experience only because it first flows through our consciousness. And spiritual consciousness is attained through practicing truth. No matter the troubles we face, we always have infinite opportunities to see them rightly and experience a healing. By our place in Spirit's heart, and by the power of our beliefs, we can invite the perfect love of God to bring us to a place of wholeness." We all talk about oneness as the thing we believe in. And I think the spiritual work that's in front of all of us is to act and to live like we really believe what we say we believe. Right? Because we come in this place, we talk about the oneness, we talk about the interconnectedness, we talk about the love. And then we look at all the stuff that's happening in the world and go, but what about that? Right? And I was reminded this week that, as we look to what's happening in the Middle East and what's happening all over the world, really, I realized that at the core of almost all spiritual traditions, this same truth shows up over and over and over again. I was thinking about the Shema prayer in Judaism, right? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. That word one is not the number one. That word one is one indivisible, self-existent, absolute cause. That in that prayer, in the Shema, which Jews are to recite every single day to themselves or to the one, right? If we truly believed what that meant, that would mean that everyone and everything is part of that one. No one, no matter where they live, on what side of what border they live, or where they were born, is part of that one as well. If we truly believed that the Lord our God is one, then there would be absolutely nothing that we could hold or believe as being outside of that. Right? Well, then let's look to the other side of that discussion. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but God. There is nothing but God. Right? And so on two sides of an argument, we're saying the same thing. Both sides are saying God is one, and yet we are separate for some reason. If we really believed the truths that our spiritual traditions give to us, then the oneness would be the glue. But there's so many layers on top of the truth. In our world, in each one of our minds, in the daily experiences that we have, there are layers and layers and layers that get piled on top of the truth. And if we want to see the truth, like I read in this quote a moment ago, it starts with the work in our own minds. That our minds, our consciousness, our thoughts, our choices, our spiritual practices become the place where we cultivate this awareness of truth. We cultivate an awareness of wholeness. We cultivate this awareness of oneness. And as we continuously practice it, as we continuously remind ourselves of the truth, over time, we start to believe it. You know, Abraham Hicks says, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So pick the thought that you want to keep thinking and think it a lot. Right. Keep thinking the thoughts you want to think. And when the thoughts you don't want show up, send them away. You know, as our friend Jesus in the desert, get thee behind me, fear. Get thee behind me, doubt. Get thee behind me, anything other than wholeness. Right? Because we have to be cultivating a consciousness that is able to see something more than what's in front of us. Because if we buy into the lie of reality, we're going to get confused. And it all looks so very real. It feels real. It hurts sometimes. But there's something more underneath it all. And our job, our purpose, is to keep looking for the truth. Keep thinking ideas that bring our minds to this place where we really see the oneness. It's a practice. We've got to practice it. And so one of the things I want to read to you this morning again is I want to read you the entirety of the We Believe statement that Ernest Holmes wrote in 1927 in the Science of Mind magazine. Ernest Holmes is the founder of this philosophy. And I think the We Believe statement is just a really great way for us to hear what he's talking about when we're really saying, if we want to see it all as one, this is how it looks. So take a deep breath, and I'm going to read this to you. This is the Declaration of Principles as written by Dr. Ernest Holmes, published in the Science of Mind magazine in October of 1927. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God, It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven is within us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be the complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that that goal is sure to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that the universal Spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick and the control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand that the life of all is God. In Kabbalistic teaching, there's this metaphor, this story of the beginning of creation. And in the very beginning, all of the goodness of the universe, all of the goodness of God was put into a vessel. And the vessel itself could not contain the goodness. And so it shattered and broke into infinite number of pieces. And the goodness went out everywhere. And the whole purpose of life, the thing that each one of us are doing, the activity of God, is to pick up the pieces and put the vessel back together. To bring ourselves back to wholeness. And so that's the activity that we are about, that we're going to be churning on the rest of the month, is this idea that each one of us comes from this place of absolute wholeness and perfection and oneness with God. And that the work of our lives, the work of the world, the work that's in front of us, is to pick up the pieces and bring our awareness back to that wholeness, so that each one of us can become the container that holds the good, and then can be the place that brings it to the world. So take a deep breath in, and let go. Take another deep breath, and let go. And so just take another moment to breathe. And so as we breathe together, I just bring each one of our awareness back to this place of remembering that there is one seamless presence, one template of wholeness, one pattern of perfection, one infinite life force that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe, unfolding in, through, and as everyone and everything, every when and everywhere. God and only God. And so let us continuously, every day, be in the practice of returning our minds to this one truth, that God is all there is. And then in that awareness, remembering the truth of who we are. That each one of us can be the revealers of truth, that each one of us can be the healers, that each one of us can be the way showers and the revealers of this wholeness to the world, to ourselves. Because each one of us are part of this great seamlessness. Each one of us is part of that eternal and immortal light. So let's clean off the layers of our awareness and wash our thinking until we have purified ourselves to see truth, to see love, to see light everywhere we look. That we remember that the earth is one life and we are part of it. That all of humanity is one life and we are part of it. And that there is no one and no thing that is separate from this oneness. So let us be a people who are continuously seeking to clear our minds of any illusion of separation so that we can see the interconnection, so that we can see the love, so that we can see the wholeness, so that we can see the divine possibilities that are seeking to express through what is in front of us. Let us allow ourselves to see through the illusion of what is showing up in the world and see through it to the truth of what wants to be. As we do the activity in our own mind, each one of us then becomes a place that starts to see the glimmers of truth, shining through the circumstances, knowing that in every moment there is an opportunity to practice, to look, to see in a new way. And so I just speak a word of gratitude this morning for this community, for each individual who is sitting here in this room or watching online, hearing these words, each one of us taking this in right now and making a commitment within ourselves to be the place where wholeness is ready to reveal itself, where truth is ready to be seen, where the light is ready to shine through the cracks. And let each one of us be a place where the healing is happening, where the broken pieces are coming together and no longer seeming like two separate things, but one true wholeness. And so as we take another deep breath in, let us remember that we are being breathed by something greater than ourselves. And it is that one life that is breathing me, that is breathing each person in this room, that is breathing everyone and everything. One life, breathing us all. Let us remember that. Let humanity remember our oneness. And so I let it be, and so it is.